Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's daily meditation with Kyra Duolingo, who is continuing to sit in for Martin this week while he's recovering from his illness. So welcome again, Kyra Jewel, and welcome to you all. Saying hi there in the sidebar. As always, it's just so lovely to see you all saying hello and letting us know where you're tuning in from. So welcome. I just actually wanted to mention this morning, just in case you don't know, but it is possible for you to turn the sidebar off. So particularly maybe during the meditation, if you find it distracting, I can't see it in my dashboard because it's slightly different to yours, but you should be able to see somewhere it says disable chat, or you can also maximize your screen, which will also hide the chat. So we just wanted to mention that just in case that was helpful for you. So as ever, we're going to be here for an hour, starting with a short reflection, then going into a meditation, and then we'll be finishing up with the opportunity to ask questions. If you'd like to come on screen and ask a question, please feel free to do so. You can write a message in the sidebar where you're saying hello and let me know about that, and I can bring you on. Alternatively, the other way to ask a question is to just put it in writing using the ask a question box, which is right under the video screen. We'd ask that you use that rather than the chat bar because the chat bar moves very quickly and Kyra Jewel probably won't see your question if you put it there. So just click on ask a question and you can write your question there. And the other thing I'd like to mention is Dana. These sessions are freely offered, but they generate quite a few costs, financial costs for us. There are many financial obligations that we need to meet on an ongoing basis, and we are entirely reliant on the donations that we get from you in order to meet those costs. So if you're able to give anything at all, we'd be really, really grateful if you could. Whether it's a small amount or a large amount, everything is very gratefully received. It's very easy to donate. There's a button right under the video screen. You just click on that and it will present you with some options. And your donation will be divided between us here at Sangha Live and Kyra Jewel to help go towards her living expenses as well. So with that said, I hope you all enjoy this session and I'm going to hand over.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. Just checking that you can hear me all right. If you can write, yes, great, thank you. Great. So today we'll look at how we can really practice mindfulness of our bodies and really take good care of our bodies as part of our practice. Could also think of this as listening to the wisdom of our bodies as we come home to be there for them and listen to what they want to tell us. So we can live cut off from our bodies. That's often what happens in our fast-paced lives, where we spend most of our time in a very mind-made reality. And perhaps one of the invitations of this time of pandemic and staying at home or being restricted in our movement is to make peace with our bodies and to give them more of our attention and more space in our lives, to really slow down a bit and make time to hear what our bodies want to tell us. So the Buddha has said that the whole of the path can be found in this fathom-long body. And I looked up what does fathom-long mean, because I didn't know that word. And I learned that it means it's a unit of measurement in the imperial and US measuring system. That means 6 feet or 2 yards in the imperial system. So in the whole length of our body, however tall we are, can be found the whole of the path. And everything that is of importance to realize about truth, about reality, can be found right in this body. That's quite something, and it's really worth spending some time getting to know and, investing in our relationship to our bodies. So it's interesting just to ponder, what is our relationship to our bodies? Are we friends? Are we, distant acquaintances? Are we enemies? No judgment on whatever the answer is, but just inquiring, how do we relate to our bodies? Is it a relationship between like a manager and a, employee, like do this, do that? Or is there some reciprocity? Is there some understanding, some curiosity, some interest, some care that also is there? And it's always helpful, because we don't exist in isolation, to, as we consider our own individual relationship to our bodies, to just know that we exist in a larger stream of our families, our communities, our cultures, how we've been socialized. And so it can also help to notice how our relationship to our body is influenced by our society's messages about the body. And just to acknowledge if there is any sense of being cut off from our body, that's very much a reflection of our larger society's way of seeing the mind as something that should dominate the body, seeing the body as lower, as separate from, which actually it isn't. There's many, many neurons in the gut and also in the heart. So as we learn more about how the brain functions, researchers who study this are realizing there's incredible intelligence and memory in the body that doesn't reside in the brain. And so, a long-held belief that the body and mind are somehow separate, and one is superior to the other, is really not the case. So just considering, what are the messages we've received from our culture about how to relate to our bodies, and a lot of strong messaging about trying to control our bodies and make our bodies be a certain way, look a certain way. So just seeing our relationship to our bodies within that larger context. And so what would it mean if we notice there's some sense of separation from our bodies? What would it mean to practice to become more intimate with our physical bodily sensations, our physical reality, to really inhabit that more, to be fully embodied, right? And so much of what we've been talking about and practicing in these morning calls is to feel from our bodies what is really happening. Because the mind can take us in all different directions and convince us of certain things that are quite far from reality. But the body doesn't lie. The body is always in the present moment. And so if we can learn to attune to our bodies, we have access to a great compass that can direct us about where to go and what to do. We have access to an antenna that's picking up on all these different signals coming in from the outer environment. We have access to, a great many tools and diagnostic capacities that our bodies will provide for us if we make the space to listen. So we need to slow down in order to hear that wisdom. And that's one of the things that this time could be beneficial for. And I'll just share a story that I heard from Carl Jung, the psychotherapist, who said he was traveling in Africa, and I think it was West Africa, and he was maybe traveling in a vehicle with a person from that place. And when they got out, the man was just sitting at the tree, at the foot of a tree, and Carl Jung asked him what was he doing, and he said, I need to stay here for a while and let my soul catch up with me. As the sense of my body has gone so much faster than it would normally be able to, walking and so I need to just slow down and wait for everything to catch up so I can, be all back together and continue my journey. So this sense of slowing down to really honor this wisdom in the body. So it can be really helpful to practice regular check-ins with our body. We can, because we are so often outside of our bodies, in our minds, tension tends to accumulate in the body. So whatever is happening in the mind, it's being registered in the body. And so if we're stressed, if we're worried, if we're fearful, the body begins to pick up on that and respond in holding tension, in tightening up, or in becoming blocked in some way. And so every time we can pause and notice that we have a body, first of all, that we're not just this mind, but that we have this fathom-long process that's changing from moment to moment, then we can get in touch with whether or not there's tension, whether or not there's strain, and practice to release that, and practice to, say hello to this huge part of our experience. So it's helpful a few times a day to make a pause, and maybe with our breathing we could say, breathing in, I know I have a body. And as we breathe out, my body is a wonder of life. We just get in touch with the preciousness of being alive and having a body, and enjoy having this body. It's a very precious thing to be born and have a body. And then if we notice tension, we can practice to release that tension. as we breathe, as we get in touch with our experience, with some kindness, with some care. Breathing in, aware of my body. Breathing out, releasing tension in my body. This is something we can practice throughout the day. As we move around, as we sit and work, as we work outside, as we cook. And this really helps if we have a habit. And this is something we can do in this time of staying at home, is cultivate new habits of pausing, of checking in. And if we pause regularly throughout the day to release tension, to notice and feel our bodies, we come to the end of our day in quite a different shape than if we stay cut off and in our heads the whole day with tension accumulating, and stress affecting our bodies. So taking time to pause can really avoid that pounding headache at the end of the day because we didn't listen to the different signals of needing to stretch or take a break or stop focusing so much through the eyes at some screen. So I'll just share a story from Eckhart Tolle that I really like. He says that a student once came to him and shared this retreat center's, annual listing of all their retreats, and was so excited and wanted to attend these retreats. And Eckhart Tolle told this person, like, if you went to all of these retreats, it wouldn't be as beneficial as if you would pause several times throughout the day to come back in touch with yourself, to feel what's right here and now. That learning to build in those moments of awareness, of attention throughout the day has more cumulative effect than if you would go to many, many retreats. Because it's changing a really deeply rooted habit of running, of always looking out, what's next. So when we come into our bodies, we inhabit right here and now. We inhabit this moment, and that's what brings us freedom more and more the more we do that. So let's do a practice of coming back to the body. You're welcome to do this seated or lying or standing. So finding a position that's helpful for you. And allowing yourself to settle right where you are. To really feel the three-dimensionality of your body, the space that you take up, the volume. And inviting yourself to really be here in your body as fully as you can. To really occupy this moment. Feel the boundary of your body, to just notice the place where your skin is meeting clothing or meeting the air or meeting the seat or whatever's holding you up. And noticing how there's an interaction between your body and the surrounding atmosphere, air, solid matter. Notice how as you breathe in, your body pushes into this space around you. And as you breathe out, the body retreats back, and there's more space for the atmosphere around you. There's a little dance happening with each breath as your body takes up more space and then yields some space with the exhale. We'll spend a little bit of time getting more intimate with the breath. And if that is not helpful for you, feel free to bring attention instead to sensations in the body, contact, pressure, temperature. So as you breathe in, knowing that you're breathing in, and as you breathe out, knowing that you're breathing out. Being present, being here for the flow of breath in and out. Nothing to do here. Just noticing how the breath happens all by itself. You can just let yourself be breathed. When something comes into your mind that pulls you somewhere else, recognizing that whenever you do, and returning attention to this conversation your body is having with the atmosphere around you. This flow of the in-breath, this flow of the out-breath. And now, as you breathe in, notice the journey of your breath from its beginning until its end, the in-breath. And then as you breathe out, noticing there's a beginning and end of your out-breath. Maybe there's a bit of a pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. And then again, between the out-breath and the in-breath. So following the breath from the beginning to the end as you breathe in. Following the breath from the beginning to the end as you breathe out. Not changing the breath in any way, just experiencing it with a little more attention to its nuances. Following the breath the whole way through the inhale and following the whole way through with the exhale. Listening to the breath, not with your ears really, but with your heart, with your curiosity, with your friendliness. What does my breath wish to share with me today? Pausing at the foot of the tree to let our breath catch up with us. Maybe we've moved very fast, and now our breath has a chance to express itself. And we want to listen. Now breathing in, bringing awareness to the body. Breathing out, really knowing that we have a body. The body is here. Opening to the experience of being in a body, of being a body. Breathing in, aware of the body. Breathing out, being here for the body. Letting our mindfulness, our awareness be like a beam of light that's shining awareness throughout the whole body. We're experiencing our body is filled with awareness. Bathed in awareness. Experiencing the body from outside and also from inside. Breathing in, aware of the body. Breathing out, here for the body, present for the body. Listening with the kindest attention to whatever it wants to say or communicate. Just like we'd listen to a good friend that we haven't seen in a long time. We'd want to know everything, how they'd been, what they'd been up to. We would drink in their words, their presence. So opening in the same way to our body. It's a dear friend. Tell me, how have you been? What's going on? What do you want to share? Maybe there are things the body wants to share. Maybe the body just wants to sit quietly with us in friendship, in communion. Maybe the body needs to do something else, to share something else. Giving space now to be in the body fully as much as we can. Breathing, aware of the whole body. Tending to the whole body. Again, whenever thoughts that pull us away come up, inviting the attention to return gently with kindness to the body. And now we'll gently scan throughout the body to notice if there's places of tension or blockage, discomfort. And bringing calm, bringing acceptance as much as possible to these places. A sense of ease, releasing. If it's helpful, you can use the phrases on the breath. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I calm my body. Calming the body, releasing tension. The body does so much for us. There's so much that functions well that we take for granted. Now we give back to the body by allowing tension to ease in whatever way is accessible to us. Breathing in, I relax my body and my mind, or at least I can invite ease. Breathing out, I allow the tension to release. Inviting relaxation, ease, allowing tension to release. Appreciating your body in this moment. as you are fully embodied and give your full attention to being present in the body. Honoring the body for all that it's gone through, all that it's made possible for you, perhaps for many others also. And gently, as you're ready, bringing attention back into our common space as we close the meditation. Making any adjustments that you wish to make, any movements that you want to bring into the body. We have some time now for questions and reflections, and you're welcome to share in the chat anything you discovered in that practice. If you heard anything from your body that you want to share, anything you discovered, you're welcome to share. And I will look at the questions in the question and answer area. So David asks, in meditation, we're encouraged to adopt a dignified posture with a straight spine. Sometimes my body wants to collapse when meditating, so I remind myself to straighten up a bit. Is this correct, or should I let myself collapse a bit? Thanks for that question, David. Well, I think it is really important to let the body rest. So if collapse means letting the body be more at ease, sometimes when we hear sit up straight, we have this image from when we were kids of sitting up rigid and, very tense, and you can't hold that for very long, very comfortably. So that's not what is meant by being dignified and upright. We can be upright and also be very relaxed. So, each of us has to find out for ourselves where that balance is. Problem, if you think of it as collapsing, that might not be really relaxing in the end, because if collapsing means like this, anytime we're out of alignment, it puts a lot of strain on our muscles. So if you collapse in a way that your body isn't in its center, then you actually end up using more of your energy to be in that collapsed way. So it's just kind of finding out where your center of gravity is, and then you can actually really rest. So I had this experience I love yoga, and I went to a partner yoga workshop, and we had to balance our partner. We were lying on our backs and we had our feet in the air. We had to balance our partner's hips on our feet, and then they had to be like flying like Superman. And it was amazing. It was so hard if we weren't in like right over our center of gravity. It was so hard to keep them up. But as soon as we got into the right alignment where, they were right where they should be over our center of gravity, it was like not having any weight. It wasn't like it didn't have to put in much effort to keep them up. So it was really about finding where that centered place is, and then there's no effort. So yeah, maybe folks here know of good resources online that might help give instructions with visuals on how to find a good upright and relaxed sitting position. And if I find something, I'll figure out how to share it. But sometimes it can help to have a teacher or someone familiar with sitting practice to give you some hints, to give you some support about, oh, try this, try that. But we can be upright and be very relaxed and comfortable. It's not meant to be rigid. So it's nice to read what you're sharing about the meditation, what you heard your body saying to you, and yeah. So another question. When paying attention to my breath in meditation, I'm not sure I find that it's difficult not to influence it. Maybe breathing more deep. I think the question is, how can I just observe and not try to influence the breath when I pay attention to it? And I just want to say that's a really common experience, that it's quite usual that when we bring attention to the breath, we're not used to paying attention to it. It's something that just happens in the background. And so when we turn attention to it, we get into the habit of trying to control it, or it starts to become less natural because we're doing something unusual. And so we're like, there could be some awkwardness. So if you notice that, it can be helpful to bring awareness a bit broader, to maybe notice the movement of the breath. So like you could notice the way the chest rises and the chest falls, or even subtler movement is that the shoulders tend to expand slightly and then return. You can even notice that your back moves. We usually think of breathing as something that happens in the front of the body, but the back is also moving when you breathe. So you could sense into how the body is responding to the breath. That could be a way to maybe bring attention to something bigger than, say, just where it's coming in through the nose or the throat, or feeling it in the front. So you could try that. And if it continues to be, sometimes when people pay attention to the breath, it's really not comfortable. It can be quite agitating, or, it's actually not, for some people, it's not a good thing to practice. Maybe at least not in, for as long as it's creating that experience for you. So if you find that even as you bring attention more broadly to the body's experience of breathing, if you still feel like you're controlling or constricting your breath in some way, then just don't pay attention to the breath. You can bring your attention just to physical sensations, or just to sounds, to touch. So let your mind let go of the breathing if it's getting stuck in some way with it or feeling uncomfortable. And then you could try later on, you could come back to it and see if it gets more natural to just breathe and be aware. I also find sometimes lying down and noticing the breath can be a bit more relaxing and not give rise to that tendency to get constricted on the breath. So you could try it like as you're waking up in the morning, as you're falling asleep, just noticing the breath. See if that is more natural. And so Emma asks, when I breathe out, I feel attracted to the ground, the second chakra area. I just lost that question. Okay, when I breathe out, I feel attracted to the ground, the second chakra area, and I don't feel like breathing anymore. Is it common? Once I lied down, it also created a strong sensation in that area, like kind of electric releases that are very nice. Do you know what these sensations are? I think it's quite common to experience release happening in the body when we bring attention into the body. And it sounds very natural what's happening, that your attention is being drawn to this part of yourself, part of your body that is actually second chakra, is a place where we feel belonging, feel security, feel our groundedness. So it makes sense that you would come to that place. And if there's a release happening, like electric shocks, all sorts of things happen in the body. And it's hard to say, this is this or that's that. Or if it feels nice, let it happen. Sometimes things can get more intense and it can be a little scary or a little bit uncomfortable. You can always stop meditating if it becomes overwhelming for you in any way. But if you find that it's, pleasant, if it feels okay for you, then just let it happen. I mean, the thing to me that the body is teaching us is to let the body dictate what we do, right? Because the body knows. It's like the body is so hungry for us to realize it's there. And so when we come into the body, it takes the opportunity. Good, I need to release this, or good, I need this kind of attention. I need this to happen for me to feel okay. So we just let that happen. It's the most natural, most healthy thing. So we don't want to judge what's happening in the body, because the body is very deeply wise, and there's so much that the body can do, and without the mind. I mean, think of like the heart beating and the blood flowing through the veins. If we had to think our way through 1 second of being alive, we'd never make it. I mean, all these processes are happening automatically. The breath, the brain, new cells being created, immune system responding to things. We can't possibly think our way to living in this body. The body can do all these things without the mind even knowing what's even happening. Just one fun fact that I find fascinating. Did you know women who are breastfeeding their babies, the saliva of the baby goes into the breast through the nipple. And if the baby is having a cold or any bacteria or any virus, within 24 hours, the saliva of the baby goes into the mom and tells the mom, hey, and the mom starts to produce through the breast milk the antibody for that virus, for that, whatever response to that bacteria for the baby. I mean, isn't that amazing? And this happens all without any conscious awareness. So, I mean, the body is miraculous. So I think whatever your body is telling you, listen to your body, and the body kind of has the final word. So if it needs to release, if it feels good, let it happen. And don't worry about it. Don't judge it. And if it changes and then something else happens, keep listening. Keep attending to the body. We should follow the body. Body will take us on many very interesting, important journeys if we let it be the lead. So from Bernadette, I find a lot of tension in my neck and my forehead. I don't seem to be able to release the tensions. Do you have any suggestions? Yes. So so it's important to not fight what we're experiencing in our bodies, because that will create more tension. So if our neck, our forehead, our head is very tight, one thing is to try to physically be in a position that doesn't add to that tension. So it might be really something to just check out. Am I in a posture that's really supportive of ease? You could try lying down. You could try a more relaxed, reclining position and see if that eases some of the tension. And if it doesn't, as much as possible, bringing kind awareness to the experience. Again, with this listening quality of checking in, and you could talk to it and say, my dear tension in my neck and my forehead, it's okay that you're there. You don't have to go away. There's nothing wrong with you. I would like to get to know you better. I would like to understand you and learn from you, because these places of tension have a lot to teach us. They might be protecting something important. They might be holding some piece of our history that we need to understand. So we want to be very respectful and not push them away or judge them. Just listen, inquire. Maybe they reveal something to us little by little. So we just make space for them instead of like honing in on them and saying, oh, you have to relax, you have to get rid of this tension. We create more space around ourselves so that that tension can be there. So that can be with some deep breaths. Sometimes that can give a sense of more space, or it can be just the space of acceptance, maybe smiling to it, saying, oh yeah, there's my tension in my neck. Hello, I recognize you. There's a tension in my forehead. I'll let you be here. Yeah. So I hope that's helpful. That's all we have time for today. I really appreciated being in my body with you, with all of you beautiful bodies. So I wish you a good rest of your day, where you might pause throughout the day several times and just be there with your body. Invite any tension that wants to release, and welcome whatever tension doesn't want to release to be just as it is. But take time throughout the day to check in and be there for your body. So I'll see you tomorrow. Be well.